Hello and welcome to Course Like Your Car Brochure channel, and in today's episode the Daimler 66 and Sovereign 4.2 and 3.4. Welcome back, and if you're new to Course Like, we're a car brochure channel here on YouTube looking at car brochures from around the world for the 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s. So if you're interested in cars and car brochures, please consider subscribing. Anyway, like I say, back to today's episode, the Daimler 66 and Sovereign 4.2 and 3.4 brochure. This particular brochure is a UK brochure and it's dated May 1977. Lovely front cover, isn't it, on this particular one. The Daimler, really, obviously this was based on the Series 2 version of the Jag XJ6. And to be honest with you, I'm not a Jag or Daimler expert, but I find it very difficult to tell the difference between a Daimler and a Jaguar of this era. Really, I think it's just the badging and the grille on the front. I do think it's actually a much nicer grille actually on the Daimler. It looks a little bit more classy, I think, and of course no Jag emblem, the leaper on the bonnet of these, of course, and of course we have the little D for Daimler on those sort of chrome wheel caps. And I think even down to the wheel caps, I think they were the same on the Jag, but obviously with a Jag emblem instead of that D. So a time where, you know, just rebadge the car and put a different emblem on it, really, I guess. But overall, a very lovely car. Lots of chrome, of course. I love the chrome mirror, and I've obviously got to point out those quarter lines on this one as well. But overall, these are my favourite Jags. And, you know, here on Course Like, we look at cars, ordinary cars, but at the end of the day, these Jags, yeah, they're expensive to buy new. But second hand in the 80s, if you bought a 70s Jag, they were really cheap, you know. If you were mechanically inclined, I think you could have got a really nice car, if you could afford the fuel bills, of course. Anyway, let's open the brochure up and have a look inside. And then we open the page and it opens up to be quite a long brochure, titled Continuing a Fine Tradition. And I must just mention the brochure itself. The paper quality on this is really high. It's almost got like a parchment feel to it, so even the brochure feels quite flashy actually. What I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom in on some of the text and we'll double back to this lovely picture. Incidentally, 70s, a lot of Jags were in this colour, weren't they? Or, in this case, I should say Daimlers. So really, I've got to start by reading this sort of introduction, really. It starts by saying Daimler of Coventry produced its very first motor car in 1896. Since then, Daimler has acquired an enviable reputation for exceptional cars whose restrained opulence is recognised as the epitome of prestige motoring. Daimler has never attempted to produce ordinary cars. Quarterlight is all about the ordinary, but like I say, you know, the ordinary person could buy these on the second-hand market, so I've kind of like made a little bit of an exception for this, I guess. That much goes without saying. Any car bearing the Daimler name is very much a car for the individualist, a car which is equally acceptable at social or ceremonial occasions. Elegance, superb engineering and craftsmanship are the very hallmark of Daimler, the basis of fine tradition. And, you know, it carries on in the same vein, telling you how fabulous this car is, of course. And then it introduces the 3 different models in this brochure. So we start with the smallest engine, the Sovereign 3.4. With the introduction of this car, 3-litre executive motoring entered a new era of luxury. A truly outstanding car, the 3.4 model combines all the excellence of Daimler with superb performance and surprising economy. In every way, the 3.4 model measures up to its impeccable standards and tradition for which the marque is renowned. And then we get sort of like the middle of the range, I guess, the Sovereign 4.2. In this car, the elegant refinement, that is Daimler. The distinctive lines and sumptuous luxury are complemented by the well-proven 4.2 litre 6-cylinder engine. An engine that is at the same time powerful, smooth and economical of effort and fuel. The other Daimler traditions, spaciousness and prestigious luxury, are self-evident in the flowing lines and sumptuous interior of this classic car. And then finally we get this, the top model, the car you really aspire to have, the 66. It carries on in the same frame, this justifiably famous car with its graceful proportions and opulent splendour is perhaps the definitive prestige car. The combination of highly sophisticated engineering and desirable luxury have given the V12 engine car an enviable reputation. The latest 66 will undoubtedly further that reputation. Daimler, nearer and nearer to the ultimate. A little bit of a look at the rear car. I really like the rear, how it kind of like sloped away there. And like it says, it has got very elegant lines. I think the Series 2 XJ6s were my favourite anyway, so obviously I do particularly like these cars. So yes, overall a very nicely proportioned car, although like Jag, Daimler, I don't think they got a very good reputation for reliability, and of course they drank fuel, so in the second-hand market there was a reason why you could pick them up very cheap. And then on the next page we get a bit of a number plate. Anyone wants to check that to see if it's still around? No doubt it isn't, and it might even been a little bit edited. We'll have a closer look in a minute. Series 2, of course, we got kind of like a raised bumper to meet those US regulations, which meant we got a slightly smaller grille, but I think that really helped with the proportions. Love it in this particular colour, and you know, I do remember seeing a few in this colour. Really nice shot, isn't it, this one? Of course, the big boy, the 66. So let's read a little bit about it. Okay, the 66. When Daimler first introduced its V12 engine in 1926, luxury motoring attained new levels of sophistication and performance. Now, maintaining this fine tradition, Daimler introduces the latest 66, the most illustrious car in the Daimler four-door range. So I'm not going to read all this because it gets a bit wordy, but it carries on by saying the 66 needs to be said is a very special car, one which, whether chauffeur or owner driven, cannot fail to impress driver and passengers alike. And then it goes on to say it's got that traditional fluted radiator grille. Fluted radiator grille. There he is. I do quite like it actually on the Daimlers. And then on the next pages we get a look at the inside, which looks very special, so let's zoom in on that. Those seats do look lovely, and of course with that sort of centre armrest that folds down, it does look a really beautiful place to sit as a rear passenger. And then that lovely interior, do like that wood or wood effect dash, looks very nice. The lovely D for Daimler on that big steering wheel, automatic of course, and the switchgear is very unusual, isn't it? We get this rather unusual sort of silver look to it, and then this period radio, which looks very outdated and very cheap by today, but back then very nice radio and a nice little feature. I wonder how many have still got that original period radio. And then we move on to the Sovereign 4.2. Again, a look at the interior of the 4.2, and it does look like there's a lot of rear legroom. I don't know, I've never sat in one of these, but there certainly looks like there is a lot, and a very nice place for the rear passenger, like I say. So again, it's very wordy, so I'm not going to read it all, but it starts by saying the Sovereign 4.2, any motorist whose pulse quickens a little at the sight of a fine car will find the excitement heightened by the latest Daimler Sovereign 4.2 saloon. And then that takes us to the smaller Sovereign 3.4. Nice colour this one actually, so let's just have a look at that. So yeah, lovely colour this one. I don't know I'm not really well up on Jag and Daimler colours, but if anyone knows any of these colours, certainly jot that in the comments. It'd be interesting to know what the names of these colours actually are. This is probably the clearest one to really show you, but you can see these number plates have been changed. It doesn't look right. Obviously, quite often they change the number plate to make it look like a new car on the new brochure, but I've no doubt the number plate was older than what it's showing. And it's the same on all these Jags. They don't have the correct number plates on them. But I think it's very much self-evident on this particular one because, it looks too bright, doesn't it? So the Sovereign 3.4, as a concept, this car was unique, an example of the exclusive Daimler blend of traditional elegance and technical excellence. This latest Sovereign has no peer in its class. And then a look at the inside of this 3.4, still a very nice interior. No leather this time, looks like possibly velour, and even no head restraints, which is a bit unusual. And even if we zoom in there, it looks like we've just got a blanking plate actually, where that radio was. And then we get this very nice page, sort of showing this sort of like key points and features of these lovely Daimlers. So let's zoom in and go through it one by one. So this is the first one. It's just telling us all the gauges are easy to read in front of the driver. This is showing the transmission selector lever in centre console together with the individual front compartments, ashtray, cigar lighter and door locking switch. And of course you can see that V12 badge as well. This page shows these rocker switches on the V12 as well. It says rocker switches for electrically operated windows. The centre console also carries push switches for fuel tank changeover, heated rear window, map reading lamp and interior lamps. And then this, which looks like the rear actually, is the rear console containing on, off and directional control for heating and ventilation system to rear compartment. Reclining front seats, speakers for the radio in the front two doors. This, which is the door lock, so all normal locking with central electric locking system, except on that 3.4, and child safety catches are concealed in the rear doors. A little bit of a look at the fuel cap system. And a little bit of a fuel injection badge on the 66. And then we've got this like huge list for the specifications, very detailed specifications. It's a bit too much information to put on this brochure review, but we'll certainly pick some key points out. So here we have the 5.3 litre V12 engine. And there is a little bit of a look at the 4.2 six-cylinder. Okay, so the specifications, obviously the three engines at Daimler 66, we have V12. It's a 5343cc engine, 2 aluminium cylinder heads, 1 camshaft per bank, inline inlet and exhaust valves. And then going down there a little bit, fuel systems, a Lucas electronic fuel injection system. And then the transmission for that 66 is a GM 400 automatic gearbox. The other two engines are inline 6. The larger one is 4235cc, the smaller one is 3442cc. And they're using 2 SU carburetors. Now it looks like we can get those with a 4-speed manual transmission with overdrive in top gear, or a Borg Warner automatic model 3-speed. And then the back of the brochure, yeah, it's Leyland Cars at this time, and a little bit of a date code there, 577 or May 1977. And we have the publication number for the brochure as well. So there you go, the 1977 brochure for the Daimler 66 and Sov. Like I said, quite an expensive car to buy, but very high depreciation, and of course rust was a big issue. But then again, rust was a big issue with nearly all 70s cars, wasn't it? And of course they were plagued with reliability issues, but nevertheless a very beautiful car. It would have been so nice to drive one when they were brand new. Let me know if you remember these cars. Please jot in the comments. I always enjoy reading those. Please do like and subscribe if you've not done already. But for now, we'll say thank you for watching. Please take care and goodbye.